So today's lesson is going to cover fragments. We're going to start by talking about what fragments are, and many of you already know this. This is a review, but for those of you who have forgotten, a fragment is a group of words that is often mistaken for a sentence. And just to clear up any confusion, fragments are bad. We don't like fragments in our writing. So the reason we're talking about them is so that you can identify them in your writing and avoid them. Sometimes authors use fragments for effect, which is okay if you're a professional and you know what you're doing, and we'll talk about that in class a little bit more. But for our purposes, we want to avoid fragments in formal writing. So some examples of fragments might be, can be quite a clown, because obviously we don't know who is the clown. When she was arrested, something needs to come after that. We don't know what happened when she was arrested. And writing your name and class period at the top of your papers. A lot of people might think, oh, that's a sentence, it's long, but that's just a good example of how fragments are not always short. Sometimes a group of words can be a fragment even if it is very long. So what is wrong with fragments? Well, generally they're missing a subject or a verb or both. And I'm sure that you learned about subjects and verbs in your junior high and middle school English classes. But remember, subject is who the sentence is about, and a verb can be an action verb, so the action in the sentence, or a linking verb like am, is, are, was, were, be, being, been. And in order to have a complete sentence, you have to have both a subject and a verb. So an example of a fragment that's missing a subject might be, will receive a detention. Who will receive a detention? Billy, Jane, Bobby? We don't know. And then an example of a fragment that's missing a verb would be Barnum and Bailey circus animals. What are they doing? Are they standing? Are they jumping? Are they juggling? Are they sitting on people? Are they trumpeting their horns? We don't know. So those are two examples of fragments. So how do you tell if a group of words is a fragment? Well, there's a little test that you can use. If you just put I believe or I believe that in front of the group of words that you're testing, you can figure out if it's a fragment. So if the resulting statement makes sense, it's a sentence. If the resulting statement is still lacking information, it sounds like it's missing something, then you know it's a fragment. So if we go back and we look at these example fragments, let's just pretend we don't know if they're a fragment or not, so we're going to test them. I believe that will receive a detention. It doesn't make sense. So since it doesn't make sense, you know there's something wrong with it. And I believe that Barnum and Bailey circus animals. Again, it doesn't make sense, so you know it's a fragment. But if you have a sentence like, I like pizza, and you say, I believe that I like pizza, it sounds complete, so therefore the test shows you that it is a sentence. So here are some more examples. The group of words is riding around on my crab arm. And the test shows you, I believe that riding around on my crab arm, it doesn't make sense. So you know it's a fragment. Another example, a group of words might be the squid inked. So the test would say, I believe that the squid inked. It's a short group of words, so you might be tempted to say, oh, it's only got 3 words, it has to be a fragment. But when you use the test, it makes sense, so you know it's a sentence. Now there are some limitations to the fragment test, unfortunately. It doesn't work with questions, like, who are you? I believe that who are you? The subject and verb are inverted in a sentence. They're in reverse order usually, and just the inflection with which you read sentences, it doesn't work for that. But for just a general group of words that's not a question, you can use this fragment test. So how do you fix fragments? Well, you add more words so that the sentence contains a subject and a verb, and so that it is a complete thought. So there's not one correct way to fix a fragment. People might add different words to make a complete thought. Can be quite a clown. You can make it complete by adding that polar bear can be quite a clown. Now you have a subject and a verb. Subject in purple, or subject in red, I'm sorry, and verb in purple. When she was arrested, you can change that to when Lindsay Lohan was arrested, she made some pretty vulgar comments. And so again, you have a complete subject in red and you have a complete predicate or verb in purple. Okay, so that's where we're going to stop our lesson for today. I would strongly encourage you to go back through this video and make sure that you are listening clearly, that you weren't distracted by television or your phone or talking to somebody in your household, and that you just really listen to everything that we talked about, especially if you don't understand fragments very well, because tomorrow when you come into class or Monday when you come into class, we are going to do some practice with these fragments, and there may or may not be a little itty bitty quiz to make sure that you were watching the video. So see you in class.